We've gone through a lot of different changes on this channel. You know, when other people decide to make a change in their life, maybe they dye their hair, maybe they change their outfit. But for us, I think it's time we make a massive change on the channel. If you guys can't tell, this wrap has kind of run its course. So I figured out with the old and in with the new. So let's go ahead and take this wrap off. There we go. Smooth off. There's one piece for you. Okay, it's not coming off as easy as I thought. So let me try to time skip this. So 3, 2, 1. And just like that, there we go. Light work, right back to the original. It was really cool to run the wrap for a little bit, but there's nothing like that Ducati red. Put these in my little impromptu trash can right there and get a good look at the 698 because we got to worry about that little rainstorm coming in over there.
I was getting ready to take the H2 out and I spotted this little oil thing right here. I'm assuming that this might just be chain lube. I really hope it is. Oh, that's just chain lube. Oh, thank God. Okay, cool. I don't remember last time I lubed the chain on this thing, but I must have lubed it so good that it's literally leaking chain lube. I've seen so many guys in the past freak out about seeing that little black splotch right there under their bike. It happens to your boy sometimes too. That's probably just a sign that I'm over-maintaining this bike a little bit, but can you blame me? H and H2, of course I'm going to try to maintain this thing. We got to move fast. We want to beat that storm. So I think I've been pretty outspoken about my feelings about the H2 for a better part of a couple months now. I think in the little over a year that I've owned this bike, it shows a lot of growth from being like, yeah, this is such a cool bike. Wow, it's so fast, to like, wow, this thing's kind of powerful and I can't really handle it, and I know that I can't really handle it, and now it's a little scary to ride. Wow, that storm's kind of moving a little fast there. My God, we're coming up on it. Especially after the last video we just had Jixabro here. It's kind of made me realize that I have really changed a lot in the last year. I find myself caring a lot more about living while it's getting cold. That is a probably massive storm coming in. There were a lot of times with Jixabro where I was kind of like, jokingly, but also kind of like half jokingly, and like not really joking that like, yeah, some of the stuff we were doing I wasn't really particularly comfortable with. And Jixabro's kind of response is like, hey, that's just riding. That's just, I kind of disagree with that. I don't think riding should be such a dangerous thing that it shouldn't be a life or death thing. If you ride relatively safe, I think you can survive 99.9% of the time. Obviously, there's always going to be that 0.01% of things that you can't really prevent, but those types of situations are rare and maybe happen like once a year to me. And even still, I've never crashed because of someone else. I've only ever crashed because of myself, because of my own ability or inability to ride. And I ride a lot. I put a lot of miles on my bikes. So I kind of think I speak for the majority of people here. It kind of makes sense like that. It's logical. If you ride less risky, you find yourself in less risky situations. Riding is actually relatively safe of a hobby if you treat it like that. And I was thinking about dedicating a whole video to that kind of line of thinking, but I realized as I was making this video sitting in my garage, I'm like, dang, I'm kind of talking about riding safe while sitting in front of bikes that all make like 200 horsepower. Mainly just the V4 and the H2, but these bikes are kind of an antithesis to my feelings. So, man, Mr. Harley, man, that dude has a sick mustache. I kind of want to ride next to him for a little bit. That's the type of man who puts down 30,000 miles a year on his bike and doesn't have a single accident. I sometimes feel like that, man. I low-key sometimes feel like the Harley dude that just wants to put down 40, 50,000 miles a year on his bikes and, doesn't drink and ride and just kind of rides, just to ride. But I just so happen to have an interest in Japanese sport bikes, more the hooligan style of bike. I don't know, it's just my interest. Dude, I hope I'm that cool when I'm old one day. That dude has a ponytail and he has a giant gray mustache. That dude is so cool. Look at that dude. All the Harley brothers are out there. Those are the real riders, dude. Hopping out in traffic. Oh, God. Hello. That dude got a little close. There's a cop. Oh, I spotted him. He's sitting right over there. I see him. Oh, I see the cop right there. It's possible I might just be a product of the environment that I live in. I'm just used to these cops literally being everywhere and everywhere at all times. It's kind of incentivized me over time. I guess I'm acknowledging that over-policing kind of makes me obey speed laws. Oh, yeah, he's just sitting there. He likes me. He wants me so bad. I don't know, I kind of just want to be left alone by the cops, and so it incentivizes me to just, be normal, I guess. Alright, so I figured I'd come to Ducati Cleveland, which is looking like it's starting to become operational for business, and I thought I'd come get a trade-in value for my 2024 Kawasaki H2 that I've owned for a little over a year, to kind of appease all the masses of people that were like, oh, you have all these fast sport bikes, you don't even ride them right. Well, let's see the trade-in value. Maybe we could get something a little bit smaller, a little bit easier to ride. Because I do actually have a couple of things that have been on my mind lately. But before I kind of grab any trade-in values, I really want to do an oil change on the H2 because it's desperately been needing it for a little bit. Gotta get a little dirty here. There we go.
Hot, 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 hot. Oil capacity on the H2 is literally so large, I literally almost filled up the drain pan.
In the meantime, Kyle is letting me take out the brand new Ducati 450 that they have. Yeah, legal reasons I'm not taking it out. I'm kind of just putting it around the parking lot really quick. I actually didn't expect you to say yes to this. It was kind of a long shot, but I kind of wish I had my request on camera because that was kind of funny. I was like, please, Kyle, can I just take it around the parking lot, please? Low-key thinking about getting, because this falls in the category of like lower powered bike that teaches me more about riding. Never owned a dirt bike, and super cool. Okay, I just have to ride it and we'll talk about it after, because I have a lot to say about this, because I already know I'm saying some questionable things. There it goes. All right, within the property, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, this is a little sketchy, but luckily not my first time handling a 450. Oh, I know what to expect here. I'm saying some questionable things. I'm also not wearing any gear. I will talk about it when I get back here. Well, when I get back, I want to clarify some certain things before I really get into it. This thing does not have radiator fans, so I really should rip on it before. Go for that rear brake right there. Dude, this thing is humongous. I've never ridden a dirt bike with knobby tires. I've only ridden dirt bike, I'm sorry, Supermoto 450s. Wow, I can't even speak. This thing's fun. That quick shifter is so cool, dude. All right, we're gonna do one more little pass. We have to. I know it's high risk, knobby tires on asphalt, but this is cool, bro. Dude, that's insane. It is so different from the 698. It's unbelievable. It's a race bike. This is like not this is not like the 698 whatsoever. All right. Dude, this thing's a toy. I really wish I felt more comfortable just like whipping this thing around. I didn't grow up with dirt bikes, so I'm not like a dirt bike aficionado. My parents did not have it like that, bro. I did not grow up with the dirt bikes. There's no kickstand, so I have to hold it. I know I've seen people lean it up against walls, but this is not a bike I own, so I'm waiting for him to get the kickstand so I can throw that thing in there. There it is. Thank you, my boy. Don't take this as a review video of this bike. This is just simply like me thinking about getting it as like a regular consumer to turn potentially into a supermoto that kind of competes with my 698 for my interest. Ducati just came out with this bike, so it doesn't have, there's no like supermoto tires for this bike yet. That's subject to change over time, but here's the problem with potentially buying a 450 race bike as a supermoto. It's the service intervals, which is why Kyle is standing right here. Is what's the first service? 1 hour for first service. You can literally only ride this bike for 1 hour, and then you have to do an oil change. And how often do you have to do oil changes after that, Kyle? 10 hours for every oil change if you're riding this bike off-road. On-road, it's recommended. We don't know yet because this is a brand new bike that Ducati just came out with.
Take it by ear, I guess, at that point.
Yeah, well, that's what would be interesting. Yeah, that's what would interest me about this bike, would be being one of the first people to have a Ducati, the Desmo MX on road. Like, that would be cool, but obviously not practical at all. Like, I've been talking to some people, like, they think it's really cool, but you could just get a Honda 450, a bike, like, used for probably half the price, and the parts for that bike already exist. That bike's been around for forever. People know the limits of that bike, of when you can do service intervals and when you can't. It's a brand new platform, and so that's why taking this bike into territory it literally, like, not even the engineers have designed it for, is a little worrisome. I don't know, I want to feel this out. I want to ask you guys, like, is this something that would interest you? Probably. Knowing my audience, they'd probably like to see me suffer and get stranded on this bike in the middle of nowhere. I don't know. It definitely is a lot of fun. All right, so let's say we're considering trading in the H2. We have to have a serious discussion about this really quick. And so this is Kyle. He's my Ducati guy, my little Ducati manager. Hi. I asked Kyle, I know trade-ins are usually, like, you're not going to get the exact value that you're looking for because the dealership is taking the burden of selling the bike for you. So I wouldn't have to go to Marketplace, list that bike for sale, and have to deal with a bunch of people lowballing me all day and have sellers show up to my house I don't trust and things like that. I've had literal death threats over my listings before, so this is why I usually just trust. I've historically traded in my bikes more than I've sold them privately, but so let's say I'm realistically thinking about buying that 450 or another bike that's smaller than the H2. Realistically, what am I looking at for like a trade-in value?
Rough trade to clean trade, an average retail there. I don't know how much I trust that because
yeah. So like realistically, like, let's say today I am trading that bike in. What would you give me right now?
Somewhere 27 to 28,000.
not the worst thing ever, actually. I expected it to be like 18 grand. I'm like, all right, I guess I'll just go like destroy my entire garage, but that's not the worst. All right, so the next bike I really wanted to test ride is the Panigale V2. This is actually, if you guys remember, if you guys have been following the page for a little bit, I test rode one of these bikes back in the spring, back when it was like about to rain. Back then, my initial impression was the bike felt a little boring to ride, but that's because it was so easy to ride. I think back then I didn't quite understand what this bike is and what it's supposed to be. Since then, I've watched a couple other motorcycle YouTubers, people who are much better at riding than I am, ride this bike and give their opinions on it, and I've kind of come to appreciate what this bike is, actually. So the thing that turns me off from this bike initially is the handlebars, how it's not true clip-ons, and this big slouch right here, which tells me that this bike is pretty comfortable to ride, but it's not as sporty as the old V2 or some of my other bikes that I own. But my opinion on this bike is starting to completely change, because now I'm like, as I took the R9, if you guys remember, I took the R9 down to East Palestine, Ohio. That was about a 4-hour trip, 5 hours, I think, round trip, because I spent some time down there and made my way back up. By the time I got back home, my butt was in pain. And so I'm kind of looking at this bike instead of like a true sport bike that's trying to live up to the name, like the R6 or something, like something that's truly spirited to ride on the short little bursts, something that fills my soul. Because as I've been riding the R9 more and more, I've realized that bike doesn't really fill my soul. It doesn't really answer that call to the extremism that I get out of the R6, but it doesn't quite fill up that like daily bike meter either. It's not quite a true sport bike, and it's not quite a true daily driver. This bike, I think, compromises even more on that like true spirited rider motorcycle, if that makes sense, and instead, since it makes that compromise, boosts the daily ability of like a sport bike. So even though this bike still looks like a sport bike, I mean, pretty much from every angle you look at it, especially from this angle is probably my favorite. It looks beautiful from this side. I mean, it looks like a sport bike, but I think because of those compromises, it might end up making this bike a much better bike than something like the R9. Oh man, that cold start. That is one of the things that turn me away from this machine, is the sound. I love Ducatis. I think they're all great in their own ways, but man, V-twins are just hard to make sound good, especially without the exhaust. Again, I am critical on bikes because I love them. So yeah, dude, after hopping on this bike after a long period of not riding this thing, yeah, it feels like a naked bike. It is like extremely upright. The bars are very comfortable. You're like sitting on top of this thing, bro. It literally feels like a naked bike. You know, looking at this through a lens of like, is this bike a better daily driver of the R9? Yeah, hands down, I can already tell you that. I could sit on this. It's so much more comfortable in the R9. And this is a hard video to make, if I'm honest with you. It is tough to be honest with yourself and be like, yeah, I don't want to ride the bigger bikes. And to go from something like the V4 to something like this, it's definitely hard on the mental, bro. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be real with you. Oh, it's just the ego, man. It's just the ego. You just wanna. I wanna hop on something like the V4. It's just the ego. Oh, it's just so weird because you're like sitting on top of the bike. Like you're just like, and I can just see everything. It's so unlike any of my other sport bikes. It's bizarre. If I'm riding like the H2 as compared to like something like the R9. Like the R9 doesn't fatigue me as much as the H2, but this fatigues me less than the R9. Does that make sense? And so far, it's exactly what I thought. It is. It's a pretty easy ride. It does compromise a lot. It's so compromising. It's almost borderline. Like, it is a sport bike. Like, it does sporty stuff. It's just so different from any of the other sport bikes I've ever owned in my life. I'm basically trying to express that I want a bike that can do a lot of miles on. That's kind of the point of making this video. I want a bike that I can do a lot of miles on, that still kind of looks like a sport bike. It still kind of feels like a sport bike. And this is the part of the video where I kind of explain, if you guys thought I was here to trade in the H2 today, not really what's gonna happen. But I'm not really trying to buy anything until the end of the summer, so no final decisions yet. But these are the type of things I'm thinking about right now. Gearing up for the end of the season, gearing up for this winter, I'm looking for bikes that I'm looking for a certain style of bike. And this is kind of feeling like this might be the answer to some of my problems. Now, am I just going to outright buy this bike? No. Is this bike specifically something I think I could potentially replace the R9? Yes. Is it something I can replace this bike? Questionably, no. The quest for the ultimate bike, I'm not sure. This is something that does not fall into it at all. This is just more like my obsession with, like, this is more like the H2, like category like the H2. or it's just an insane race bike that just wants to go fast, but not like blow your face. Like, this is like a bike like the R6, where it doesn't go super fast, but it kind of fills in that like soul requirement that a bike needs to have. Really hope I don't come off as too annoying when I talk about turning this bike into a street legal supermoto. I mean, definitely stupider things have been done. It's just like a really interesting idea to me. Still an idea I'm toying with, but I don't know if I'm actually going to follow through on that one. I think this whole video is kind of me expressing my frustration with some of the remnants of the Jixabra visiting Cleveland debacle. It just kind of made me realize, like, my riding style has changed a lot. I care a little bit more now about living than I used to, and it didn't always used to be that way. You know, in the past, luckily, I'm like, I'd like to think I was intelligent enough to not post stupid stuff to the internet and risk getting myself taken to jail, and kind of like some other motovloggers out there that have done that. I'm not an angel is basically what I'm saying. Like, I've definitely done some stupid stuff, and it is stupid. If you ever hear me be harsh with that language, like, oh, going through cars is stupid, riding reckless is stupid, it's because it kind of is. Like, I have someone like my mom. My mom's like 50-something, middle-aged woman living in the suburbs. Like, she's kind of she fits the profile, but she's kind of right in the way she describes, like, oh, you got all these moms just taking their kids to soccer practice or something on the road, and when you blow past them, you scare the shit out of them. And if that doesn't make you feel bad, then I disagree with you then, because I feel that makes me feel bad. I don't want to scare people, bro. You know, existence and living is hard enough as it is, but it's like making your whole existence about scaring people and causing harm and causing bad negative emotion in the world. It's not a good thing. And obviously I'm simplifying this issue a little bit, but it's kind of related to like the other things I've talked about this year. Breaking a girl's heart, you know, like, that's not a thing to brag about. That's not a good thing for the world. Risking your life, it's not an objectively good thing. It might make you feel good in the moment, but in the long run, that's not gonna help you. And so I just figured expressing it by just going shopping for some simpler bikes might make me feel better. And I don't think it is. I don't think it really is helping me feel any better. I just want to ride safe. It feels odd to kind of be this contradicting voice in the motorcycle space when everyone's kind of obsessed with speed and going fast as possible. Definitely is weird to have a bunch of people tell you otherwise, but you know what, actually, I feel like you can ride these bikes reasonable. I'm feeling a little bit defiant right now. I got a little wave of defiance over me. You don't have to ride these bikes the way that they're intended, or the way that people tell you how you have to ride them. God forbid you just want to ride a certain bike and feel special while riding it. I don't even care if it's a controversial thing to say, bro. You can ride whatever bike you want. Yes, they're tempting. Yes, I feel tempted to blow okay, we're missing this light. All right. Yes, I feel tempted to blow everybody's doors off every time I ride this bike, but I genuinely usually do not have close calls on this bike because I'm pretty reasonably safe now. At least these days, you know, back in the old days, maybe a little bit more. These days, I'm a lot more reasonable on this thing. I can ride this thing and be just fine. I know my own skill level. I know where I'm at. I don't rip on this thing everywhere I go. I do little accelerations here and there, kind of like this after checking the intersection. I'm like, whoa, that's fun. It gets me going, man. That's all I really need. Jesus Christ. I got nothing to prove. And that's all right. Maybe there is something to that. Maybe there is something to riding a bike that's outside your skill level, respecting it, realizing that, and just being chill, just being a chill little guy on a big old bike. I don't know. Not everyone's like that. I get that there's definitely some people that shouldn't be riding. Like, my old self probably shouldn't have been riding the bikes that he was riding. But these days, I'm like, after everything has happened, bro, after everything that's happened this year, I'm mellowed out. I'm kind of a little bit in a better place now, mentally. You know, I don't ride around being a little sad boy anymore and being like, oh, so I hope a car pulls out in front of me. Nah, we're in a good spot now. We're in a better place now.